but certainly I think everybody that grew up learning to engineer or produce or musicians, they were just influenced by what was going on around them and by the, for lack of a better word, the vibe in Memphis. And Memphis, if you think about it, it's repeated so much that it's almost a cliche, but I think it's true. Memphis has always been a cultural crossroads or melting pot. It's a place where things that aren't supposed to fit together intersect, and somehow they do fit together. And I'm not a musicologist, but you know, that had to do with a lot of things. It had to do with geography. It had to do with our proximity to the Mississippi Delta, and you know, all of the blues artists, you know, who came out of that kind of background. And then on the other hand, you know, you had Beale Street was, you know, it was urbane and sophisticated, and there were horn bands, and there were, you know, not crude blues music, but there was, you know, a different take, and you know, all of that stuff got mixed together. Then there was the gospel tradition. A lot of people say that soul music basically comes out of blues, gospel, and a little country influence. There's a statement in a film where I saw Isaac Hayes making a statement. He said, they called it hillbilly music. He said, that was the first music I ever heard. He said, I was playing hillbilly music before I was playing R&B. So it's that intersection of cultures that occurs. I mean, I was talking about geography again. We were essentially on the north-south transportation route, right? First commerce on the river, and then by railroad. And you know, that's sort of connecting, well, what's going on in New Orleans to what's going on in Memphis to what's going on in St. Louis to what's going on in Chicago. And you know, there's sort of a musical axis that you can look at that has to do with the geography. And you know, Memphis, I think, is very dissimilar to Nashville in that way. Although there were similarities, I always tell everybody that I mentioned WDIA, which was it was one of the first all African American formatted stations in the country, very early, a very powerful station. It was a 50,000 watt station, so it covered lots of area. And I always tell everybody that WDIA was to soul music here what WSM and the Grand Ole Opry were to country music in Nashville, if that's a meaningful analogy.
You used a word vibe to describe Memphis. So do you feel as if the vibe was something specific to the period that you were talking about, the 60s and 70s, or is it something that still exists in Memphis today?
No, I think it still exists. I mean, obviously it's not identical. Some of the places are gone. Some of the cast of characters in the play have changed. But we still have people coming here. You know, most leisure tourism here, frankly, is based on music in one way or another. And a lot of, you know, current contemporary artists come here because they just feel like this is a creative environment, that there's something about their creative juices that's going to flow better if they're in Memphis. I don't know if it's something we put in the water or exactly how it works, but yes, there's a unique Memphis scene, and you know, that can be good and bad, because if you're doing sometimes if you're doing innovative music, it may be hard to initially get commercial acceptance for it. I was saying, you can always tell the pioneers. They're those guys with all the arrows in their backs.